Parker, do we need to start that over? You just gave a look. We're okay?
Great.
All right.
Perfect.
Welcome to the Download Youth Ministry Web Show, episode 229.
Are you all digital today?
I'm digital today.
Wow.
Oh,
Doug-
man.
Just
Oh.
call me
Digital
Doug
a few
Digital.
times.
Doug Digital here on
Digital.
He's going to surf the web
episode
when you get bored.
229. To my left and your right, viewer world, is our friend Katie, the Queen Edwards,
Unless
Josh,
they're watching this in a mirror.
Josh the host, and then Matthew McGill. We missed you last time,
I
Matt.
know
Yeah,
we did
dude.
miss you.
We
You
have
guys did a show without me?
We
Yeah.
did, but we had Seth, so he was
Seth said
wonderful.
for it. We did the volunteer show, the bad volunteers.
Oh, good. I wouldn't have had anything to offer to that.
Yeah,
Totally.
kind of like most shows.
So you're so positive.
I'm so positive
You're so
and happy,
positive.
cheery.
Nothing
And welcome
negative
back. And we
about
just
it.
we actually got some bad news on Saturday, but we got some good news.
What was the bad news?
The bad news is Max and Mark's football team lost, so
yes.
that means
That
the
was a bummer.
McGills are not going to Florida,
Right.
which means Matt gets to join us at U Specialties.
Yes, it's bittersweet.
Yeah,
It's bittersweet.
It's a bittersweet.
so you're going to be in Nashville.
One door closed, another door open.
That's exactly right.
God opens
That's
a window.
exactly right.
Sometimes you
It's
got to
always
love a
half
fire
full, right,
escape.
Betty?
And speaking of U Specialties, they are our primary sponsor. We are grateful to them. Why don't we
you,
just go
IS.
hit a sponsor real quick?
Youth Ministry 360. We love you. Great resources.
Leader Treks, so awesome. Plus, they're on Download Youth Ministry.
Yes, they
Supplying
are.
great information for everybody.
We got Azusa, which is a great school because I went there.
You
and
did.
just, you teach there, and
Not
all
just a
those things.
sponsor, but also
We also
fragile.
have. You already said Leader Tricks.
That needs to be
Yeah,
your
Humankind Water.
Not
right?
just a
That's
sponsor.
right.
Are they
Yeah,
still
Humankind.
sponsoring us?
What about
They do.
YS?
And
YS is
I
the
said
biggest.
that. I said that at the very beginning.
Primary sponsor.
Well, let
don't
me ask
forget-
a discernment question.
Okay.
We have a wine case in the back of this. Are
Yeah, we
people
should
gonna think
we should
that
probably
this is our
We
explain.
wine?
should pause early in the show
Yes.
to identify.
Okay, but do
Yeah.
you think everybody would know that's a wine case?
No, you can barely tell.
It could be a vintage
Well,
stereo.
Okay,
It
well
could be
here's
bottles of
I'm the most
Martinelli's.
sensitive out of all
here's
of
the
us.
deal. We're at the Southern Baptist headquarters. And, no, we are at
Rick Warren's office.
Also a joke.
we,
Cheers. It's Perrier.
we are having our room redone. Seth, who
Yep.
everybody knows,
Some know him
our
as Sethel.
executive producer, he is going to design a great backdrop.
Yeah, oh, it's looking incredible
It is
already.
looking incredible. I could tell. The boxes are down. The boxes are down.
It's
He's
looking-
literally opening his laptop to order
Katie-
stuff
It's
right
in
now.
progress.
Katie,
and
let
we
me
just
tell you
saw
what's
it.
happened.
Yeah.
The other night, me and Josh and Parker and Seth and Fadi, whose offices we're in, Fadi lets Download Youth Ministry be in his office.
good buddy.
He's a good man. We all went out to dinner, and then we went to IKEA to shop for a backdrop.
Yeah.
And we said, do
well,
we
not
get
just a
couches?
backdrop, but also a couch or something.
Yeah,
stuff
which
for
is
the
like, what do we
office
what do we
and stuff,
do? What's
Yeah.
the new look? And Fadi
Yeah.
said, well, before we spend money, why don't you guys just shoot one in my office and see how you like the couch and the table deal? That was
that's why
kind of
we're in here.
Hence,
why we're in here.
Hence the transitional
Hence.
studio we're in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've got to
Gotcha.
decide whether we like
Loungy feel.
loungy feel.
I like it. You look
Or-
uncomfortable. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah, I'm feeling, I'm not ready to go.
You're not ready to go. You
'Cause
want to be
you're
at a
too
table more?
relaxed.
Well, let's evaluate afterwards. Let's just
Yeah.
see how we do.
Yeah, save it for the show.
Well, we'll
just
see how
saying.
you do
Yeah.
after some questions.
Yeah, yeah. There's something about the table with Matt kind of beating on the table. Yeah, you may be too kicked back.
Yeah.
I said before the show started, the one thing I
Hey,
did
as soon
say,
as you relax, you
I
die.
would rather be in that chair.
Silly.
But we don't want to mess with the order yet. I mean, because
No,
this
it's
is our
okay.
traditional stance.
Maybe we do
yeah.
4 chairs.
Because we need to make eye contact when they go off topic.
That's
you know
true.
what I
Well,
mean?
Right.
let's
So-
Well, we could put another
We have to
chair
be able to
there.
do
we
this.
know where the show lives.
The couch says this is the
Yeah.
important stuff.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
gotta
all
be
right.
on the couch.
You're
Here
the
we go.
center where the book ends.
All right. Did somebody
I'll
get a
take
start
that.
time on this so I know what time to? We've been going.
It's been a great show. We'll
We're
see you
on
guys
the
next
Lord's
week.
time. Just go until it feels like
Here we
it's
go.
time to stop.
Here we
It's
go.
from Kevin Kloss.
Matt, sorry
now,
you
Matt,
can't.
last 2 weeks.
Yes.
Last 2 weeks.
Your fingers are freezing, by the way. You got
I'm
one
kinda
foot in the
cold.
grave. You're saying.
I know.
He's an old man. Let it go.
Speaking
Be
of one foot in
nice.
the grave, I
No,
spoke
let's
at a,
not.
I spoke at a church last week.
Yeah.
And the,
Church at-
the 8 a.m. service is the really old person service.
Absolutely.
And I swear to you, the guy that greeted me at the door was dead.
Skeletal.
Well, it's Halloween. Maybe it was a costume.
No,
That's
it was
sweet.
not.
Dia de la
Sweet
Morta.
man.
Oh wow.
Anyway, Kevin Kloss
Zombie
from Lake City Community Church in Lakewood, Washington. Hey everyone, DYM member here. Hey
Heyo.
Matt, I'm glad you got canned. I'm glad
I'm
you
glad
got
Glad you got kid.
Well, you're on to more exciting
I
things.
mean, it was God's will. How could you not be glad?
When God opens a window, go through the other door.
Sometimes the
That's what I
sunshine goes through the porthole.
You are
That's what
you are
I
at a
always
better
say.
place where people are excited to have you contributing with your gifts.
Oh.
Matt's in a better place.
Speaking of dead,
The title of the show is already.
And then it
incredibly
says,
great.
Doug, I used to think Katie was quiet because of Matt and Josh. Clearly it's because of you. While you
Oh.
were gone on the
Oh.
last show, Katie spoke more.
she talked
than
up
ever.
a storm.
Well, she had to
Making
carry
up.
the show.
Yeah, making up for
She had
lost
to carry
time.
the
Yeah.
show.
Metal.
I know.
What are you gonna do?
I know. I just want to take
chair.
a moment to thank you for the I downloaded this shirt T-shirt. I've seen Josh wear another version. Where can we buy that one? You have to come on staff.
You have to come on staff. So
We
right
have
now there's
staff?
only
Wait
You
a
gotta
minute.
earn it.
Who's on staff?
yeah, it's more volunteer staff.
Yeah.
You wanna work for us?
I met with our first volunteer yesterday who's helping us with
awesome.
stuff.
That's
So great.
We should start talking about summer interns for Download Youth Ministry. That'd be fun. Anyhow, sorry.
Yep. Okay.
So
Just
we're-
talking
there's
about-
only one shirt so
I just
far.
started an area network. I'm really trying to promote DYM to as many people as I can, which is why we like you.
Thank you. You're.
I will say this though, I downloaded this shirt, T-shirt to church and youth group the other night, and a few people did a double take and said from far away they did not think it said shirt.
Yeah. Yeah.
What else? What else would it say?
The right wrinkle and the R disappears, and all of a sudden you downloaded this
Yeah.
other
Yeah.
stuff.
I thought this was funny. Has anyone else mentioned this? Anyway, thanks for the live show at San Diego, working hard. And for working hard with DYM, it really is the best deal in the history of youth ministry. Kevin, you're right. It was great to have you
Wow,
there.
that's
We
what
just
great
got a network
affirmation.
form. Oh, it wasn't from Kevin.
Another guy.
On our website, you can say if you're part of a network, enter it in, and you get to be part of our deal. You're on the radar.
Yeah.
We got some
Yeah,
big
we'll
plans
send you
for
some
this.
stuff now
Yeah,
too.
and
We just started
actually,
doing that.
yeah.
We know we've got at least 25 people right
Yeah.
now. It'll be more, but we just sent the email out yesterday. 25 have responded that are going to
Yeah.
have dinner with us that are DYM members in Nashville.
Oh, that's
So if you're a
fun.
DYM member,
Yeah.
we want to have dinner
Cheers.
with you. We've got a shirt for you. We're going to bring it with your size, and there you go. Matt,
And is it
There
fair
is
to
a
say?
city in Missouri
Matt, I
called
kind of feel
Mexico.
like you're
What's
on
wrong
your
with
own
that?
page.
Is that a
You're
no?
on your own page.
I'm on the network page.
Let me
This is
have
all-
your phone.
No.
Let me have your
Not
phone.
Not
Is it fair to say that we noticed that might happen to the shirt, and we still went ahead with printing them? Is
Are
it
you
fair to say
serious?
that, or is it just a total oversight?
Is it fair to say that? Because I didn't.
Never thought that.
No, but as soon as I saw the shirt and put it on, I was like, oh, that
I am
might be
totally
a problem.
amazed that there is a city called Mexico.
Oh,
gosh.
Mexico, let's
I
go.
have not wanted to.
You what?
No.
Shoot.
Just outside of St. Louis.
All right, here we go.
America's full of amazing
Hey,
spots.
Katie, Josh, Doug, and Matt.
Get out
Matt,
a little more.
Yes. Oh.
so sorry to hear you got canned. I'm a DYM early adopter.
All
And it's been
right.
seriously awesome, all caps. I'm super excited about the changes to the parent newsletter this month. Parker, dang it.
It's good.
So
It
good.
is
really
good.
good.
It
It's
is
so
good.
good.
There's one guy that's complaining about it. That is just.
Yeah.
No, he
is
he
just-
complained. He said, "I wish
No,
I could
there
add."
really is.
He's not complaining about it, Matt. He said, "I wish I could add my own stuff to it." So Parker creates a thing where you can add your own stuff to it.
Yeah.
Now he writes back, says, "It's getting better. How about our
Two
own
more
logo?"
things. Yeah.
Seriously, I want to. I mean, I don't know who this is. I don't even know the person's name, but I want to cancel their membership.
We
I
cannot
like new
unmember
ideas,
somebody.
But, well, you
We
can
can't.
refund. I just feel like there is a spirit in which you offer new ideas, and there is a critical spirit.
Okay.
So he's a deacon.
Sorry.
You know what? We knew. I told Lisa. Lisa is the gal outside.
She left her desk.
I
She
told
just-
her, I said,
yeah.
"Can you warn?" Because Fadi's in
Yeah.
like Bahamas or something like that.
Yeah.
What?
Who? This is Fadi's office, and I said, "You probably need to warn the people next to us
And
that."
that- might
I can't
lose
believe
control.
we're shooting the podcast in here.
Well, I can't after just hearing that. Not only did 2 people die on their treadmill just
Grip was
now,
hilarious.
but you just brought the whole office down.
No, I'm. You,
I think that's one of the cool things about DYM though is that you guys are open to suggestions because it does have this kind of mom and pop feel, like you're riding along with
which
all of
one's
us.
the mom?
We're waiting for you for the mom and
Mom
pop.
and pop.
It's all pop
Yeah, it's
right
all
now.
pops
That's
right
all.
now.
You got the couch. You're on the couch.
Great,
Things
but
happen.
I like that. I mean I know
you wanna
criticalness
be the
is
mom?
not fun, but
Yeah.
it's
No,
cool.
It is
it's
fun. It is.
okay.
We're
It's
leaning
cool
in.
to know that you're willing to make a change to something in order to help a youth group for it to
Totally.
be even
Yeah.
And
more
here's-
user friendly.
And just here's my thing. I mean, it is such a great deal, and we are all doing this in our very part-time, and just to not have
We're going to get
somebody...
some criticism. Would you
I
hold my
know,
hand?
I just-
Just hold my hand. And here's what look me in the eye. Shut up. Let's get to
No hand on the shoulder
Do we
there,
need-
just
This
straight.
is
can't reach
Amanda
his shoulder.
Daniels. Amanda Daniels from West Highlands United Methodist,
Hi, Amanda.
Kennewick, Washington. So here's my question. I'm a youth pastor at a smaller church in suburban Washington. 100 to 120 average attendance on a Sunday, with about 25 youth involved. So that's
great.
like 25% of the
That's awesome.
congregation. Our youth group is currently combined middle and high school with an average attendance of about 15. It fluctuates from 5 to 35. I would really like to split into separate high school and middle school, but I'm not sure how to begin the process or at what point to really pursue it. Those nights when we have 5 students combined are what really make me nervous. I've warned the students since I started here 4 years ago that separate middle school and high school groups are my ultimate goal, but they're still really hesitant. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts. P.S. Not really for the air, but just wanted to let you know.
Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, she was at our first 2 years.
Oh, awesome.
Oh, that's great.
Sent a picture.
Yay!
Remember her?
But you
Oh,
guys
she
having your
is
little
a-
side conversation?
She is a
Yeah.
raving fan. She's a sweet, sweet woman. That was awesome.
Great. So she wanted us to put a name to a face. So
Fine.
let's weigh in real quick. Give a thought.
Here's the thing. I
We
like
talk about this like every 30 or 40 episodes.
I like the critical mass. I like a little bit larger group, and so I would say wait until you have a decent number in each junior high and high school, because I think that together is good. Now maybe split off a little bit for some specific
Right,
stuff, but
right.
I would say hold off a little while longer. I'm not sure I would have always answered that because I love the distinction between junior high and high school.
Right.
But at this point, 5 to 15, hold on to it. Keep the energy. 15 people together is fun. There's a little buzz, a little energy, a little, a couple vanfuls of people. That's neat. I think just don't break apart too soon.
Yeah. Yeah.
I totally agree with that. I also would say maybe there's some other times throughout the year that you can split that I think are times where you can grow stuff too.
Right.
Camp just for junior high, camp just for high school, maybe like
Yeah.
going to, partnering up with some other churches that are already doing something, or a junior high, or, middle school night out, high school fun night out. I
Yeah.
think sometimes middle schoolers can be intimidated to bring friends into a room where there's high schoolers, and sometimes high schoolers,
Yeah.
don't love having
Yeah,
tons
you
of
might
middle
split
schoolers
and
around.
grow.
I think sometimes they mesh beautifully together and it's great, and I agree with the critical mass thing, but I think sometimes when you do stuff separately also, you can kind of build those individual grade groups a little bit.
Good.
It's good.
Yeah. I think that you said this for years, so I'm just repeating back what I've seen and experienced. But the way you lead the change is so important, because you've got the decision or the idea or your goal, which is great, but man, don't come in heavy-handed. Don't say this is the way we're doing
Yeah.
things. Basically, it's my way or zero way. Kind of like I was demonstrating on the last email. Don't do that. But I mean, to say, hey, we're going to try this. This is just an experiment. This is just something that I think is going to be good. You'd said in your email that you've been telling these guys for a couple of years that you've wanted to do this. I think that. For one, talking about a change for a very, very long time without making a change, it's you're just wasting airtime. People don't need to hear about a change for 2 years before it happens. I think,
Yeah.
especially not in youth ministry. It seems like. But if you're going to do it, if you are, tell them. And you didn't say this in your email, so I'm not saying that you did this right or wrong or anything like that. But you don't want to just say, hey, this is what I want to do. I want to split it. You want to show them, tell
Show
them
the why. Yeah.
it's good for them and it's good for the ministry.
Great.
Fields, what do you think?
Well, I would say to Amanda that I would say maybe once a month, maybe the first Wednesday of every month, we split it. And so just to see what happens.
Yeah.
You might find that your high school kids are going, oh, this is great. This is no junior hires.
Yeah, about time.
Yeah,
Yes.
we're gonna invite our friends to that one, and you might use that as a temperature gauge to see what happens, and give it a few months, because it's gonna probably take 3 or 4 until they figure out, oh wait, she really does mean it. We are splitting it, and just try it for a couple times. But I agree. Splitting a group of 5 into a group of 2 and 3.
Yeah, brutal, tough.
That's a little rough. So
What's funny is I really didn't even, when I first started in youth ministry, didn't even really care about the distinction between junior high and high school. I just wanted to get a bunch of students in the room together. And there were some squirrely younger kids and some older, and I just didn't care about it. And it worked. It worked great. So that might be an option too. Just build
Leave
the
it as
ministry a
is
little
and
bit.
just
And
build
yeah,
them, yeah.
yeah.
That's right.
So basically, do whatever you want.
I forgot to tell you, I was this weekend in North Carolina, and I ran into Susie Ralph.
Really?
Came
The
to-
Susie
The
Ralph.
Susie Ralph, who I was.
Is there a Pelosi in there, or is that a different person? Is that her? Is there a
That's the
Susie
Speaker of the House, I think.
Pelosi?
Susie Ralph is the one. You don't know who she is. She is her and Jerry
But I
Varner.
recognize the name.
Well, because she
Yeah.
was
She
always
writes it
in
all
our
the time.
she was always in our community group answering questions and weighing in, stuff like that. She brought some
Yeah.
of her volunteers and parents to this thing that Duffy and I were doing on Developing a Faith That Lasts, and she played it really cool. Like she wasn't all that excited to see me, just kind of like, oh hey, Duff.
Normally,
friends, no
I'm not
big deal.
excited to see.
But in reality, you were pretty excited to see
I was
her.
excited to see
yeah.
her, yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, and actually, what I thought is afterwards, I asked who were DYM members, and she was one of them. There was a couple others, and I thought afterwards, I want to start getting pictures with
I like
DYM
it.
members.
We can hang him right up there in Fonny's office. Like it.
Hey, real quick, can I do a neck check? How you guys? I'm feeling like I'm just exerting a lot of energy right here, trying to hold my head. Are you? Do you guys feel that at all?
I'm not.
Is that
I'm
a
not.
real question?
I'm
Yeah.
not overly comfortable in
Like
this.
I want
couch.
to just go like this until it's my turn to talk, and then
I would be okay with that if you.
kind of like a Pez. I'm a human Pez dispenser. I got a lot of neck strain right now.
Go ahead, do that. Do that.
You're gonna
Just,
throw something.
no,
at me.
I'm not gonna
Dude,
throw
that
something
computer's
at you.
gonna be in my
Yeah,
neck.
just karate chop your neck and
Computer's
see
gonna
it.
break.
just stay there and see if that would help.
Hey,
the
Fields
show.
was a Navy SEAL. Don't leave that big of a target for him. He'll-
Kyle
A lot
Strum.
of
He's a youth minister from Mountain Creek Church of Christ. I'm 23 years old and took my first full-time youth leader position. I'm loving it so far, but finding it hard to communicate with the students. I worked the past 2 summers as an intern for a different congregation and found it much easier to communicate with the students there than the students here. What I have found is the students here at Mountain Creek have no foundation for their faith. They don't know where they stand or what they should believe or why they should believe the way they do. They seem to be coming to church simply because they always have. I'm trying to teach them how to grow their faith deeper, but a few of them seem to have never even heard the idea of what faith is. How can I teach them in a way that helps them understand what faith is and why it's important?
What a great situation. I mean, I think for you to really just spend some time on your own to go, okay, what are the elements, the essential foundational? Good notice I got my arms up here to hold the head.
Yeah, I like
It's
that.
getting a little too much.
Too much Pez
But
pressure.
for you to develop your convictions on, you know what, these are the 5. This is the 5. This is 6, 7 most important things that a person needs to know. I mean, the reality is that no matter where you're at, you're always going to have people that aren't as spiritually mature as you would like them to be, where it's as easy to push them along to the next step. And so our churches are filled with people who just show up, and that's our responsibility, is to move them to the next step, whatever that is. So when he had said at the beginning of this question, I was thinking it was a cultural thing, like not like, hey, I'm more of a fit with this area, with this environment than this. But the fact that it's, different levels of spirituality,
Well, to me, that's where I like where our life groups come into play, where we divide up our large group or the crowd, whatever, youth group crowd, into small groups. And those leaders know where everybody's at individually, and they kind of custom tailor. Now, it's a little bit of a perfect world scenario, but custom tailor discipleship for where those kids are at. So I would say it's very difficult to learn and know where your students are at. And students come for a million different reasons. But if you divide up, let's say you have 20 kids or whatever in your student ministry, divide it up into 5 groups of 4, now that's a reasonable thing for you to know the spiritual tenor or climate of 4 people, maturity. That's
some of my
doable.
best friends don't have the spiritual maturity they ought to have.
Yeah. Hey, you talking about mom or pop?
Not
Yeah.
Katie.
Yeah,
that's
so I mean,
for
that-
sure.
According to the King Pharisee.
So I mean that would be one thing that we do. The small groups model makes a big difference in that to help address that.
Yeah.
I think it's good to think through. You kind of touched on this a little bit of just what are the 3 or 4 things that you want every student to leave knowing. You know, there's definitely repetition in the way that we teach, and we might repackage something but come back to a few really key things, and then small groups helping each student take an individual next step. So collectively thinking, what are the few foundations that I'm going to teach on kind of over and over and over again, so that when they leave, I know that I've done everything I can
To
for
get
this
those.
group.
Yeah.
And then hopefully training small group leaders to help them really take those individual next steps. And challenging our students. I'll never forget one time you taught in HSM not too long ago where you were really challenging students with their own faith of, hey, you've got to hold up the mirror and not necessarily rely on everybody else to help you move forward, and really challenging our students to understand they have next step to take on their own. And I think that's a really key thing to do with our students too. So
Yeah.
Well, one of the things when he says, I'm 23 years old and just took my first full-time youth leader position. What I would say is, okay, at 23, try to think back what you were like spiritually when you were 14 or 15. And maybe our friend Kyle was a spiritual giant at that point. But my guess is maybe there's some new awakenings, there's some new awareness to Jesus the last couple of years of being in college.
Absolutely.
And so a lot of times I know that when I was in seminary, I would be like coming out of seminary class and going, I just want my kids to know this. And like, why don't they know it? Well, I just learned it myself.
Right.
You know, this last year. And so sometimes I think, we set the expectations really high of where kids are going to be spiritually. And one of the best things, youth workers can do is kind of remember where you were when you were 14, 15. When I was in 9th grade, I was handed my first Bible. And and then in 10th grade I was asked to work, lead a small group. Well, I was only a few days ahead of everybody else, and I hadn't even read to the end of the book. So realize where they are, and this is, like Matt said, what a great problem to have.
Sure.
You just have to teach on faith, and you're going to have some core messages, Kyle. Maybe as you begin to get the landscape of your youth ministry, you realize that they need to know more about the person of Jesus. They need to put their faith in Jesus and not in themselves. Whatever. You're going to have 4 or 5 core themes, and you'll repeat those themes over and over and over and over. And in those themes, they will begin to get that eventually.
So what I hear you saying is that you are a 23-year-old youth worker, and all 23-year-old youth workers really don't know anything.
I didn't say that at all.
That's what I heard you say.
Well, you weren't listening. No. Because you put your head back.
The only problem with putting the head back is it's not really positive body language. I'm just worried about
disinterested.
Because this is positive.
Isn't this great? I'm like, hey, what are we doing?
I would love to revisit my 23-year-old self.
Yeah, absolutely.
It would be really helpful and scary.
Because you
Love
didn't
it.
know anything when you were in 23.
Well, I just feel like you just no. I think I knew everything at 23.
Well, right, that's the problem.
I didn't go so far as to say that, but I go back and I'll look at a talk that I gave even a couple years ago, and I'm like, really? Really? So that's why I only put the good ones on DY.
Exactly. The other ones, whatever.
That was a good question.
That's a great question.
Jeremy Coggins.
Can I just
No.
say, obviously,
No.
I'm joking.
Oh, obviously you're joking?
Yeah, I mean,
Obviously, his body
I'm
language is
joking. I mean, everybody's.
Well, we can joke because we're older, and that's in hindsight. for
Right,
us.
exactly.
So
Exactly.
being
We were no
23, it
different.
still feels it's
Yeah,
intense.
you're invincible at 23.
No, I mean, my daughter is 24 and doing youth ministry, and I feel like
but
she
she's really wise. She doesn't feel like
Wise
she knows
beyond her
everything.
years.
She doesn't feel like she knows it.
Jeremy Coggins, and I think we answer this all the time, but I'm kind of hoping if we keep asking it every week, somewhere between Seth and Matt and Josh,
Okay.
we'll have an answer. Because
I've
for
already
people
got
like
an
Katie
answer.
and I, it's getting really frustrating. When are you guys going to have your podcast available on iTunes or other podcast services?
I was asked that multiple times today.
I
Here's what I'm
listen
going
to
to do.
podcasts when I travel or doing housework.
Here's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
I'm going to start a new. I'm tired of
My
it.
11-year-old
Are you gonna do a new
daughter
feed?
asked
I'm
you
just going
about
to start a
this
new
today.
feed, and then we're just going to put it up on iTunes and forget it.
Okay, but let's.
It's frustrating because the old
Are you
feed
serious
has
we're gonna
all
do
of our
that?
subscribers, but we'll figure it out.
I mean, we have to,
We're
right?
12 episodes behind.
12.
Online.
We're on the website.
We're still
But
on
we're not. We're on YouTube. We're on the website, but we're not. Are you serious?
Yeah.
I
It's
am
over.
just turning into a fiery phoenix inside right now, and I want to explode.
I give up. I guess what I'm trying to say is I give up. I give up. The glass is half empty.
You
The
gave
doors
up.
are closed. The windows
You
are.
gave up. Now I feel vindicated.
You know what?
I just had a
So,
moment
I
there.
mean-
Are you still the fiery phoenix?
I don't know what I am.
Okay, when I think
Rising
of problem
from the
solvers, honestly, when I think of problem solvers, Seth's a great problem solver.
Oh, yeah,
Matt's
for
a
sure.
great problem solver. Josh is a
Good encourager.
pretty good problem solver. Parker, I don't have enough experience with Parker to know if he's a problem solver yet.
Yeah.
Parker's a total problem solver.
But here's the deal: why is that problem not solved?
Well,
Well, I think it's Seth's.
everyone's. Wow.
This is a perfect.
Okay,
Honestly,
church
here-
staff
You know
meeting.
what? We
There's
need to
a-
start it over. We need to get an Apple ID
This
that
is
is
like
just
this
for
is a great church
DYM.
scenario right here.
Yeah.
Feel like fiery.
You know what? When
You
you, say
are too, aren't
here's
you?
the thing: when you say it feels like we're mom and pop, I submit to you, it doesn't just feel like it.
We're
We
worse-
are. Mom
We're
and
worse
pop.
than mom and pop. We're like three brothers. that are
We're
like-
three brothers are like, I don't
Hey,
know.
hey,
I thought you were
I
what?
thought you were gonna do it. Okay.
I've never seen
So-
the internet before.
Hey, keep writing in. We'll bring it up every week till it's.
No, it's done.
like the Dukes of Hazzard.
I'll put a deadline on it. 5
It's
o'clock.
like
In 3 weeks, 5 o'clock.
This is from Jeremy Congdon.
I quit.
Dayspring Christian Church, Fort Collins, Colorado.
Oh, awesome.
Just near Colorado.
Matt was just talking about Colorado today at lunch. and how
you're
they-
near Colorado.
I was just
man.
near
Well, I
Colorado.
was near
I
and
just
in it.
thought of Colorado.
Near Fort Collins.
You're obsessed with Colorado right now.
Hey,
Okay, anyhow.
youth ministry gurus and Matt. Sorry you got canned.
snap.
As a member of DYM, I've loaded up on the student leadership lessons and the resources you've put out there. Great stuff.
Wonderful. Awesome.
As well as read
Way to
through
go, Leader
PDYM, your first 2 years, and some other Leader Trek stuff they've
Love it.
created.
They're
We're on the
crushing.
verge of starting a student leadership team with our high school, and I'm very excited about the future of this ministry. My question is directed more at junior high, so maybe something Katie can give feedback on. How does the student leadership piece work for that age group? I understand that setting up chairs, helping clean up, greeting students, all that, it's a great place to start. But do you do a monthly meeting, training, application, interviews, commitment forms? I'm sure you agree developing leaders in junior high is just as important as high school, but it can't be the same process as high school, can it? How would you advise a
Great
ministry to
question.
go about that?
Yeah, that is a good question. I mean, I think it can be the same process, especially if high school's established one way and you want junior high to be exposed to that and feed into that, you know, when they graduate. So I think it absolutely can be application and interview and a little bit of a next level commitment for students. In my experience with student leadership, we've tried it a bunch of different ways. We've had that where we've had kind of a formal what we called student leadership program in junior high, and it was great. For us, it didn't work as well because it kind of created this exclusive little group that just didn't feel like we were hitting the mark with student leaders in junior high. So we kind of this year, actually the last couple of years, have taken just a little bit more of a cultural approach. So we have a program called Impact, and Impact is basically care, share, and serve. So compassion, evangelism, and serving in ministry. And in all of those kind of little arms of our program, we're doing exposure type stuff where we're exposing them to all of that. There is a leadership piece in there where we're doing exposing them to leadership. So it's just really kind of introducing them to leadership and introducing them to all of these kind of next level concepts for them in their faith, which I think for us has worked a little bit better than the formal thing. I think the formal thing can work great in some settings. It just depends on who you are and where you're at.
Seasons of ministry.
Yeah, definitely.
So is everybody invited to the Impact?
Everybody's invited to Impact, so it's really at whatever level you're coming in. You know, even if you don't know Jesus yet, but you've been invited by a friend
Yeah.
to serve, you could do that. But then there are a few kind of next level opportunities for students that we give to lead in our ministry. So it's really just kind of what bar you're grabbing for type of a thing, and then it does feed nicely into our high school ministry those impact students. HSM
Yeah.
has
Yeah,
impact.
we've stole the name from Katie, and we have Impact in high school ministry now, and love it. It's
and
great.
student leadership is a next level arm in
Yeah, it's a
their
little
ministry,
more of a
little
formal
more
program.
formal.
There's an application, and
Yeah. So what we're doing, I'm hoping, is really going to set our junior hires up to kind of for those things to bloom a little bit more in high school, even though we're giving them all the opportunity, all the exposure, but really there's
Not
so
the
many.
title.
Yeah, there's.
Not the,
I love it.
the pedigree.
Yeah.
So is it once a month, once a quarter? I think I missed that part.
We gather once a quarter.
Okay.
So, and that's kind of more of a rallying point, just to
Right.
kind of here are the opportunities, here are some ways that we're going to challenge you. And again, everybody's invited to that. So, anybody
Yeah.
who wants to make an impact,
Is serving
those
happen
areas.
at the actual impact event?
sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes we have that. And so we've just kind of branded that in our ministry as the next steps piece. But again, I think student leadership is such an interesting thing too, because it's such an individual piece as well.
Right.
Like, I think
A
there
bit more than a program.
there are leaders in our ministry that I know are in a place where I can challenge them and push them a little bit harder than
Yeah.
some students that are just showing up for something. So it's an interesting thing. But for me, the culture piece and really just kind of exposing them all and then letting them grab has worked really well for us. So, and then again, partnering with the high school ministry so that when those kids go into high school, there's even more, it's blowing up a little bit more, and they have the little bit more formal, which
absolutely,
I think
yeah.
is a good thing.
Yeah, we do
So-
monthly meetings. One of the things you didn't mention is you have great snacks. Your impact meetings, that's a great way to draw in students.
Always.
Great snacks.
Yeah, and that's a part of our service. Every time we gather in the crowd, we have an impact spotlight. So we talk about it every time we're together.
Oh, every week.
Every
Yeah, so you're
single
building a
week.
culture of
So
impact.
it's definitely
Yeah.
part of
all the
our
time.
it's part of our ministry. We have an impact station in our room that has all the opportunities up. Everything from
And
giving
when you
your
say
testimony.
opportunities, you mean serving opportunities.
No, everything from sharing your testimony to leading a friend to Jesus to serving opportunities to care and compassion. So it's
We should take a picture of
it's
that
all
and post it on the
that.
blog, because it is a cool station. It's
Yeah.
like a self-service walk up. Any kid can just walk up and go, I want to get involved. This looks cool. This, grab some flyers.
We've
So
really
would be
seen students respond
would
well.
small groups be a part of that?
They can, yeah.
I mean, in the impact area.
Absolutely. Yeah,
if
there's
you're in a small group, serve together at the food pantry or something in town.
Right.
It's not. I feel like I'm explaining it like it's a mess, but it's really just it's a culture that we've created to help students take
The next step.
steps. And
That's what it's built around. It's
That's
really,
really
how
what
do
it
we
is.
help someone take the next step wherever they're at.
And there's leadership opportunities within that,
Yeah.
and that are pretty specific and cool.
cool.
And again, my only suggestion as a junior high ministry would be to talk to your high school ministry and make sure that you aren't creating two exclusive, separate, different rules, different everything. Like
Right.
make it something that partners and that feels fluid, so that when you hand them
Cohesive.
off, yeah.
I like Katie. I feel like that's the best student leadership description I've heard coming out of Saddleback Junior High Ministry ever.
Yeah.
You know what? It's been
good.
so fun. It's
Yeah.
been working really well for us, and I feel like and you are like, okay, I think we're hitting our mark.
Yeah.
Like, this is really we have a ton of students involved with it. It's
Yeah.
really cool.
No, it sounds like we need to learn more from it. I love the fact that you, Josh, have taken the name so
Yeah.
that as they graduate, they're going, oh, they have.
Totally seamless, yeah.
It's very cool.
It's very recent. We're only a year and a half into that, and love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it. Well, and you guys stole, well, not stole,
Life
but whatever.
groups.
Life groups now. So
Yeah.
instead of going from a C group to a small group or whatever, it's now
Yeah.
life groups to life group. So many things to make that transition from junior high to high school
Yeah.
just effortless.
Yeah.
Like, I was in a life group last year. Of course I'll get in one in high school.
We're pretty
I
much
served
using
in-
all the same terms.
Yeah,
now
it
across
makes a
the
huge
board,
difference.
Which I
That's
think for
good.
parents and families has been awesome.
And when Katie
So.
takes over the whole world, that'll be easier that way
Yeah.
because she's.
No, but it's very cool. I love it. I love this version of junior high student leadership.
So good.
Are you just searching the web right now?
I'm
while we're
searching
hanging
for a
out?
student leadership conference. Seth, what's
.com.
the blog? What's the
StudentLeadershipConference.com.
studentleadershipconference.com? We actually got that.
That's a really big domain score. How much did that cost? $2,000.
Yeah,
It was
right.
actually, we got a great deal on it.
That's great.
Because
We actually took a lot of our 8th graders to this last year, but handed them off to you in the process, which
yeah.
was a really cool thing.
It was so fun.
To have the 8th graders that had been with us all year, but then this is at the top of the summer when they transition, and
Yeah,
they
kind of
all.
like your goodbye,
you
last
took your
hurrah.
daughter.
Yeah, we had some 7th
Oh, I
graders.
was
We
gonna
had
say, 'cause
about.
that was
yeah,
the
we had
highlight
about-
of my summer. Her going, I love it.
Yeah,
Wait a minute,
she
there's only
did.
2. I thought
love
there was
it.
going to be 5.
There's 2.
There's 2. to student leadership.
Southern California and Northern Indiana.
Irvine, July 9th through 11th, and Granger, Indiana, July 14th through the 16th.
Love some Granger. I can't wait to go
Yeah.
back there. I love Granger Community Church. They are just,
I've
they're
never been
killing
there.
it.
Hey,
Oh.
good job. Good answer. Go to Go to studentleadershipconference.com. Also hit leadertrex.org.
Will we all be there at
Yes.
student leadership?
I
Or is
hope
that,
so.
That would be fun.
I hope
We
so.
should
Matt's
do-
probably
should
got
do
some
something.
excuse. This is a
Griff's
person
the only
who.
one that hasn't been to all of them.
This is a person who writes in regularly, who says, "Don't use my name."
Oh,
Struggling.
sorry, Susie
So-
Ralph.
Pelosi.
If it's her, move on.
Nancy.
All right, we've got another question
Nancy
from Taylor
Pelosi.
Murray. No. Here it is. This person says, I've written in several times in the past about some of my ministry struggles, different pastors, changing churches. I mean, we've been doing this for 5 years,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
you know.
400 episodes, right?
Could be anybody.
I currently serve with a great staff at a great church with great people with a great vision and great prospects for the future.
Wow, that's a
It's-
lot of
great.
Sounds
That's
good.
perfect.
It's great, is what he said.
He or she
Except-
says.
I don't want to do vocational ministry anymore. I've been
great.
active in ministry for 15 years, vocationally for 12. I don't feel like I can continue. I know I have the skill set and the personality to continue to appear to do well in ministry, but I'm doubting my continued call to vocational ministry. I just do not have the passion and drive to do my best. I have shared this with my wife, who quite frankly thinks I'm nuts. I promised her I will not make a rash decision and will take at least a year to finalize my plan to exit. Advice will be helpful. And this is one of our regular guys.
Oh,
Thank you for
Wow.
your honesty.
No doubt.
Yes,
That's
and-
huge.
we haven't talked about this in a while. I don't think about.
Have we
what-
ever had this where it's like, I know I'm supposed to leave? I feel like
Not-
we get a lot of
this is
questions.
very
that are
strong.
Like, maybe I should, maybe I should.
This is
So
very
this
strong.
is not like a maybe, right? This is a.
It
This
It's
feels
over.
like, yeah, I mean, I've
Feels
lost
like-
passion. I don't have the passion, the
That's
drive
what
to do
we've
my
talked
best.
about before. We've
Yeah.
talked
Yeah.
about what happens when your tank is empty and you
Yeah.
just feel like you're going through the motions and
Yeah.
you know.
I wish I knew how many years he was at his church, because sometimes this is not scientific. It's just
Sure.
intuitive. There's like this 5 to 7 year itch that people get, usually around 7,
Yeah.
where you're going,
Yeah.
I'm ready for something
Absolutely.
different. I don't know what it
Yeah.
is. Do I want to do youth ministry?
Do you
I-
think people have that? Because he said he's been in it for 12 years?
Yeah,
Or something
12
like that?
vocationally.
Do you think no matter, that only happens if you're at a church, the same church?
I
the
don't know.
itch,
Like I
or-
said, it's more intuitive than.
Yeah.
It feels like when I talk to people who are struggling. How long have you been there? 6 years, 7 years. It's right around.
Well,
there.
there's a reason why it's called the 7-year itch too. I mean, it is a.
There is a 7-year itch.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's very
It's a pretty
famous.
real thing.
Yeah, I would say my dad
Don't worry
had that.
about
I've had mine for about a month.
I was gonna say there's a cream for that, bro.
Always in the gutter. Always.
Junior high ministry. What? Anyhow,
It was back acne cream.
Well, I think that the first thing is, which is where you just have to start. Is I think that God totally speaks through our desires and through our passions, and not that God obviously. His word is the most important thing. So I'm not saying just whatever you hear inside, that's what you go do. But assuming that you have a consistent walk with God right now, that things are that whatever it is that's your secret sauce to maintain your faith, assuming that goes good, God is clearly doing something. But I think that when when you're caught up in something, when you are off track spiritually, and those steps begin, you just get off the track a little bit, and you can barely tell. Next thing you know, it's your life is not doing great. I think if you're far from God, you can't trust how you're feeling.
sure.
I mean, that's
a good word right
that's
there.
what I'm saying is that. That being said, let's just assume you're not. I mean,
Yeah.
let's just assume that things are great, between you and your wife and you and your time with God and all that stuff, whatever that looks like for you. If that's the case, then this is a huge time in your life to say, okay, God, what are you doing? Like, is there something new that's been added to your life, your ministry, an added stress that makes ministry a total drag, that you really haven't stopped to realize. And if you can identify a source, then that's good, because you could do something with that or about that. And I think that if your passion is draining out for youth ministry, then another good question to consider is, do you feel like you're becoming more passionate about something else? Like, are you just emptied, or do you feel like you're really being reoriented and redirected into a new place? Because I think that's important too. I think we've talked about this before, that when you hit these low times, that maybe it's time for you to really reinvent yourself. That you don't have to change vocations, that you don't have to move, you don't have to go. But it's time for you to really do everything different. Maybe you learn a new skill, or you go in a different direction where it is a challenge, where you are excited. But I gotta say, over and above all this stuff, so great to have the courage to want to deal with this, because I think most people they would just be satisfied with their success, or satisfied with looking successful and everything being okay in the status quo. And I just think it's so great that you are saying, okay, God, what is next? That's the most important thing, and that's great.
You guys have any input?
I think that sometimes the longer you do something, the more that becomes who you are. And so identity-wise, like, I think it could be easy after being in youth ministry for 12 years to just keep walking towards that being who you are, and you're God's person first, and you shouldn't be afraid to jump out of vocational ministry, because we're all you're going to be doing ministry in some capacity, even if it's not for a paycheck at a church or whatever. So I think being open to what's next could be really exciting, but the people around you might have a hard time with that, because they see things in you, and like I said, the longer you've been something, the more they identify with that's who you are. So you have to bring people into your process a little bit of what you're thinking and feeling, and not be afraid to go, I just am not feeling the passion anymore, and I'm not feeling this, so that the few people in your life that journey with you can help you find whatever the next place is. But you aren't who you are based on where you work or what your job is. You're
not
God's
serving
first.
God more
Yeah, totally.
because you're full-time ministry.
Yeah.
And
My mind went right to, who are you sharing this with? Because if I feel that way, I need to be vetting those feelings, because I don't think feelings can be trusted, because I feel like leaving youth ministry every couple weeks.
Yeah.
I do. I feel like, man, I've done this so many times. I'm redoing this. I got in trouble for this. Whatever. So I don't think your feelings, they just will go up and down all the time. So I think
this is deeper.
This is deeper than that. I agree. That's why I think you have to explore that with some really trusted people.
Absolutely.
And I like that when you said the people that you're journeying with. That's a big phrase. I love that. Doing this long, he certainly has some people that he could go to and go, gosh, this isn't a fleeting, passing thing. I think this is my permanent exit. And I would say one of the people that he's speaking with is his wife, who does not agree with it. I mean, that's an important thing. She thinks he's crazy. Obviously, she'd be supportive, whatever. But I think that's an important person to really have a frank discussion about this. And I would talk to your mentor, and I would talk to your senior pastor, and I think
email the DYM web show.
Well, and making it a little bit more
exactly,
serious.
yeah, I mean, that's fun.
Because
it's good
there's
talking about
times
it.
where I tell my husband something where I'm like, I feel like I'm gonna quit today, or something.
Yes.
And in a passing comment, he's like, "You're crazy. This is, you're the best at this." Da, 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 da.
Right.
And so I think,
But then to circle back and go, but seriously,
Wait a second.
I really do want to quit.
I
just think youth ministry is one of the most difficult and extreme callings, and being in the trenches of youth ministry, it is not unusual to feel like, oh, I think God's calling me out.
Everything's tough. Everything's hard.
Yeah, and church ministry in particular, youth ministry in particular, it's not easy. So I would say just be careful of the fleeting feelings of success, failure, depression, calling, whatever. If it's permanent, that's different. But I think you have to have other voices with God's Spirit to help guide you through this mess.
Well, and in that, have you taken some space? have you created a 1 day or a 3 day time
What-
to back away
Exactly.
from the busyness, the to-do list, the photocopy?
As soon as the question was being read, I went,
speaking.
and I know this sounds like a commercial, which we didn't plan, but the refuel
Colorado
retreat
thing I just thought about.
from Leader Trucks, I have a couple of people from my staff going next week. One of them is the end of her internship, and she doesn't know what's next for her.
Yeah.
And I was like, let me send you to this. It's going to be awesome. And she's going to go, and it's
Yeah.
going to be space to figure out what's next. Now, again, not a planned pitch, but that's a beautiful 3-day. Take a deep breath and go, God, what are you showing
Yeah,
me?
come out to California. You can stay at my place. How far away is this person? Well, maybe you can't say that. But yeah, I mean, seriously.
Stay with McGill, hang out with us. You could be our
passion to
intern.
me is,
If anybody's going to help discern passion, it's McGill, right? I mean,
Exactly.
I don't
You
know
walk
about
away from
that,
here
but
ready
to
to
me,
go.
I mean, it is so sad to just, when you see a person who's been serving God, anybody, you see someone disconnected from their passion.
Yeah.
It's the worst.
Can I throw out one idea real quick? Sorry. What about a sabbatical? Would it be fair, 15
That's-
years in, to go?
That's what I'm saying. Can you
Could
get
I
some
take a
space?
month?
Oh, like a lot of space.
Well, a sabbatical is a gift that some church. I've never had the privilege of one, but
they're-
if you're almost
Wait, I
done,
thought your whole life was
I
sabbatical.
think the church giving you 4 weeks off would be a whole lot better than losing you.
Yeah.
I'm making that up. I've
Unless
never
you come
had that.
back and you're like, I quit.
Well, but that would be okay too.
One of us has done that.
One of us has done that. I don't want to point any fingers, but
No, that's exactly what happened. Is I resigned and said I'm
done.
I'm done. And what are you resigning to? Nothing.
don't know,
I'm not
yeah.
sure yet. I just know that I'm 19 years. I'm done. At this church, and he said, "How about a sabbatical?"
yeah.
And so took a
That was good.
3-month sabbatical, and
I
it
think
actually
it's
just
good.
reconfirmed.
Clarity,
Yeah.
clarity.
Yeah.
You got it.
What I like about our friend who's written is that he's not thinking, I'm going to take at least a year to finalize my
That's
plan
a
to
long-
exit.
that's a long time.
Hey, if you want to leave vocational ministry, great. Leave vocational. I mean, you're a minister for the rest of your life, no
Yeah.
matter what you do.
Amen.
So if you go work at Ford Motor Company and they pay your bills and you get to do something in design or marketing or whatever flips your switch, or the last thing. I was at the dentist today and the gal behind the counter said she told me that she's retiring. She's 68 years old and she's retiring, and I thought about my dentist who's in his 60s, and I was kind of watching his world at the chairs there in the little tiny office and never having to leave, and going, when I think about the age of my kids, 18, 22, 24, as my son who's about to graduate college is going, okay, what does he want to do
Yeah.
for the rest of his life? You don't want to look back when you're 65 and go, you know what, I wish that I'd have jumped out and tried something.
Sure.
I don't know how old our friend is that's
Yeah.
written, but you know what? I've talked to so many people who is like, I used to do youth ministry and then I thought I wanted to be a senior pastor. I went to be a senior pastor. Now I'm back in youth ministry. Or I did youth ministry and then I we just needed to make some money, so I went and worked at sales and did this, and I just missed the people. Matt, you in some ways did that. You didn't leave quote unquote vocational ministry, but you went from church to a publishing company,
Right.
back into the church, and that was a
Right.
good year for you to find some clarity and go, this isn't me. I'm not to sit behind an office or in an office and write curriculum
Well, and
all day long.
and don't forget. I mean, Mariners gave me a sabbatical. They just called it a terminated position.
Sorry, you got a sabbatical. A permanent sabbatical without pay.
So anyway, I say, go for it, make the plans. Here's my part is I think about your marriage is I know one of the biggest needs that your wife has, especially if you have kids, is to feel like, are we going to be financially okay?
Yeah.
And so to not add a lot of fear onto her. Like, I don't know if I agree with Josh about talking to the senior pastor.
Josh say that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't lead with that.
Yeah.
But I think
Well,
at
I
some
just
point
think-
in your process,
I-
don't blindside him or her either.
Yeah, but I think at some point you have your game plan, because depending on what kind of church you're in, as soon as you say that,
You're even thinking about it, you're done.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
you have to
for
have a
sure.
very special relationship, and that's 0.5%.
But if they could come to you and say, whoa, 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 I don't want to lose you. I will change heaven and earth for you.
Yeah, but we all know that you've got to be able to, as we've all talked in here individually before about different times when you're going to go ask for either a raise or do something, you got to be willing.
To walk.
You got to
as
be
well.
willing to walk if it's going to go sideways. So, I think if you got a family and
song
you're
by
noodling with
Pantera.
it, pursue that vocation and check into it, and gosh, go for it. Go for it.
Yeah.
And just make sure that
Yep.
you're not sacrificing your family in the midst of it.
You know what I always say? If the spirit in the door, just go through the half glass of water.
Wow. Wow. That's good.
As a Pez
Know where to
machine.
go from
All right, hey.
I might have mixed the metaphor.
Episode
I don't know.
229.
You should write a book on
Katie is going on
passion.
vacation, so we'll probably miss her on the next
Yeah, that's
show.
fun.
Where are you going on vacation?
Hallie
Sabbatical.
sabbatical.
My
Permanent
husband and I
unpaid
are
sabbatical.
celebrating our 15th anniversary, going back to our
50th?
honeymoon.
I didn't
15th.
Oh, 15.
Ah, congrats.
Going back to our honeymoon spot, London. We're going to London and Paris.
London.
Are you taking the channel from London to Paris?
We are.
Love the channel.
We
It's
are.
so fun.
You've never been on that.
Been on it. Took 30 kids across it.
Why
How long
is
does
it
it
called
take?
a channel?
It goes under the English Channel. It's an underwater train.
How long does it take?
Tunnel channel.
35 minutes. It's quick.
Right into
A
Paris?
tunnel
Right
through
into
the
Paris.
channel.
You're probably
Channel.
5 blocks from the Eiffel Tower. It's amazing.
So what's a tunnel called when it goes through a mountain?
A
Just a
mountain
tunnel.
tunnel.
Hey, let's look that up.
This has been a
Okay,
real
we gotta
enlightening
go.
show.
Let's
for
take it
you.
offline, huh?
We gotta
Mexico,
go.
Missouri.
Let's have people that
You
watch.
can't tell me Mexico, Missouri isn't an interesting name.
People
I
that
can.
watch.
I totally can.
What do you think of the setup here?
Oh yeah, feedback.
Let's vote real quick on what
Yeah.
you guys like. Yes
I'm
or
down.
no?
I'm down.
You like this?
Yeah.
I'm okay. I kind of like the table, but
Yeah, it's a little too informal for me.
Okay.
No, just kidding. If I had a neck rest. It's just
Maybe
like
some kind of
it's-
orthopedic pillow.
If
You'd
somebody
be
could
all
put
right.
a cinder block on the back of my neck,
Seth, what do you think?
I'm torn.
Yeah.
I
I'm
could,
about to
because
figure
I
out
could
this
do this, but,
you're gonna.
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah,
I think I
Oh.
could do it, but I want to sit in a chair by myself. I want
Yeah.
armrests.
Oh, that's good.
No,
Yeah,
it's
I like
just
Katie. I like Katie
recline.
more than both of you guys combined, but
We all do.
yeah. All right.
Wait a minute, what'd you say?
DYM
Combined
Web
what?
Show 229.
Great to see you.
What are
Yes.
you combining? What did you
Bye.
say?
Don't worry about it.
Matt, use your remote to turn off
It's
the
in
camera.
Mexico, Matt. All right. Love you guys.